Now to the conversation of the day. As the March 31st deadline for filing personal income tax returns draws to a close today, many Nigerians, particularly individuals and small business owners, are still uncertain about their tax obligations, the filing process, and the consequences of missing this important deadline. With offices still open today, there is still time to act. But first, people need to know what to do. And joining us on Business Express this morning to walk us through it is Dr. Benjamin Ogbeide. He is a tax expert. Dr. Ogbeide, you're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Doctor, let's start with the basics. Today is a deadline.
Yeah.
It actually applies to who and who, because not every Nigerian is in the same position. Who must file today and who may be assuming they need to do it some other time? Particularly, there has been so much argument about the NTA, talking about the new tax law started 1st of January. Why should we file taxes in March? Shouldn't we wait for March 2027? Walk us through the process.
Okay, thank you very much. The new tax regime came with a lot of rules and different from what we were hitherto operating. The 31st March today deadline is actually for individuals, for small business owners, SMEs, professionals, even people from the informal sector. You have to remember that the filing starts from January 1st, 31st is just the deadline. These are for revenues for the year 2025. So what you must know is that you must file between January 1st and 31st. Today is the deadline for incomes and revenues you made during the year 2025.
Okay, looking at the payee, particularly for civil servants like me, the argument has been, if my employer files my tax within this period, why do I need to do it? And going through the act, you hear self-assessment. Can you put us through all of that? Break it down so that the common man, civil servants like me out there, the small business holders will get to know. Even for those, we are also told, even for those who are below the minimum wage, who are enjoying some kind of exempt, should also file. Walk us through this.
Thank you very much. The new tax regime has also brought these new timelines and procedures. What it says is that for individuals, even if you pay your payee, which your office, as in your employer, deducts on a monthly basis, the new tax regime is saying some people who are workers, and though they have paid their payee, which is a straight deduction from their salaries, they still have some side hustles. They still have other incomes, you know. So, and that is what the new tax regime is trying to look at, that you should be able to also declare your incomes other than your salary. Like tax, like your side hustles, money you make from side hustles, money you make from your rent. So these are the additional incomes that the new tax regime wants to capture. So aside from your salary being paid to you and the payee has been deducted from source, you still have to file your returns, whether you are having side hustles or not, but most especially because there are other incomes. That is why the tax regime has put that up.
Okay, talking about side hustle, talking about some other income aside my basic salary that comes every month. What part of this is supposed to be taxed? Yes, we know a threshold of 800,000 at the end of the year for those enjoying minimum wage should not be taxed. If my side hustle goes above 800,000, am I subject to some form of tax? And if yes, what percentage?
The tax law, the new one, is saying that aside your salary payee that have been deducted, you need to be taxed, one. Your side hustles, and that is why it says it came up with this self-assessment, which is now online and even mandatory, though you can also go to the Nigerian Revenue Service physically if you cannot do the online. So what it means is that it has to, it's mandatory. You have to do self-assessment. How do you do self-assessment? You bring in your summary of deductions for the year. Then the office will give you a tax certificate. Then there is evidence of what you have paid before. And then details of other side hustles will be added when you are filling that form online. And of course, the system will generate your tax payable. You know, so whatever you are doing, once you fill it and you are online on the portal, and there are steps, there are practical steps, which I think will come into it later. It will show, and as you are filling them, at the end of your filing, of course, it's self-generating.
Okay, looking at the new tax law, well, what other changes for individual taxpayers as well as maybe collective taxpayers have been brought in that are actually different from what we are used to, and you think Nigerians should be aware of it at this particular point in time?
Okay, we will start with the penalties. Now, it is the new tax law is, number one, it's more transparent. Number two, in terms of penalties, is clearer, and it has been upped up. Like before, penalties are between 5 to 10,000, which made a lot of tax defaulters not to really bother because they think it's small. But now, it is now 100,000 for the first month, and then the subsequent months is now 50,000. Secondly, it's now online, so mostly it has to be online, except when there are challenges, you now go to the office of the NRS. These are some of the changes. And of course, the deadline is now there, which they now, the service is very serious about it, because you can even be criminal, as per, you can even go to court. And when that is done, the sentences can even be up to 3 years. So these are some of the changes that now made it different from that of the older regime we had.
Now, Doctor, self-employed people like the traders, freelancers, people going to, even the civil servants that do side hustle, those ones can actually be captured in the data. Yes. But artisans and other freelancers are often the hardest group to reach. So what does the law require them specifically to do? And how does the law get to reach them, since they are not formally in the tax net?
Surely the tax authorities are trying their best to see how they can be captured, and majorly our data has been the problem in Nigeria. Once we are able to get correct data, compliance will be made easy. Right now, freelancers, artisans, the need for them to know, education is very key. A lot of people don't even know what's happening. And that is why there needs to be more enlightenment as per town criers, adverts on radio, handbills, town hall meetings, for them to actually know. The major and basic problem now, aside even the data that is not 100%, the taxpayers don't even know what to do. And that is why I'm saying this morning that this 31st, which is the deadline, is for both individuals, for side hustlers, for small business owners, for civil servants, for professionals, and for SMEs. They are all involved in this. So today's enlightenment is just one of very many that can continually be done. And this is a teething period, as we have just started this new regime just 1st of January. It will take some time, but I know the authorities are trying their best to see how everybody understand and know exactly what to do.
So to avoid defaulted, for the viewer out there, today is the day to file, possibly the last day. Yeah. What does one need to do? Give us practical steps. What do we need to do to ensure we go through this process without missing the deadline?
Okay, the first step actually is to get your tax identification number, which is the TIN number. And if you are an employee, most times your employers must have gotten that for you. But if that is not gotten, you go to the NRS portal, it's online, or you go there physically, they generate a TIN for you. Once that is done, you now check your documents. What are the documents? If you are a civil servant or you are a salary earner, you must have your pay summary for the year. You must have evidence of what has been collected from you that you paid, a kind of certificate, and that's the evidence of your tax already paid. You must also have details of other incomes if you have, like that, what I mean by side hustles. And then the third step will be for you to, what you now do, you now file via the NRS portal, you know, and then the fourth step will be, you now start filling, like I said, the self-assessment. The self-assessment form will be online. When you get to the first step, you are now filling the form. And what do you need to put? You put your personal details, you put your tax income, and all other sources for the year. You also put your deductions that are allowable, and then tax already paid, which is payee. That's for individuals. For small owners, what you do is you need to record all your incomes and revenue for the year. Then you also have your bank statement, which is very vital to show your incomes and your in and out, what came in and what went out. And then for those that, which if necessary, VAT and withholding tax returns. Then your other step will now be, like I said, after filling it online, it's self-generating. The system can actually generate your tax liability, and it can also be computed manually. And then
so how easily is that done? Is the process seamless? And you've been mentioning, you made reference to the NRS portal. For me that pays my payee, talking about my tax to the FCT IRS, do they have the same portal like the NRS? Is that also seamless? Same for people who reside in Nasarawa but work in Abuja that will have to pay their tax or file their tax to the Nasarawa authority. Is it the same thing?
Yeah, you know, I'm using NRS because it's Abuja here. There are other state internal revenue boards like FCTRS. They also, on state basis, are also have been developing their sites to match with that of NRS, who is the mother hen now in this matter.
So basically, once one goes online, log into those portals, the information is there. One will just need to
obviously, what you need to do is
details.
just self-assess yourself by filling these documents and information details that I've just mentioned.
Okay, great. Before I let you go, most importantly, you mentioned for those who will not be able to meet the deadline today, which we don't hope for, the fine is about 100,000 as well as 50,000. Does that apply to those filing for 2025 in 2026, or is it for those that will be filing or will possibly miss filing 2026 and 2027?
Like I said, the filing that is expiring today is for the business and revenue for the year 2025.
Okay, great.
So this one is for year 2025.
Okay.
That you must file by today. Otherwise, the penalties we apply.
Will apply.
And even if you want to now pay in future, those penalties and interest, which is 10%, will be accrued and it has to be paid.
Thank you so very much on that note, Dr. Benjamin Ogbeide, for your deep insights at this particular point in time. It is very important that it's just a morning, the offices are open, the internet is accessible to most Nigerians. Go and do your self-assessment, go and file your tax to avoid fines of 100,000, 50,000, as well as a possible 3 years imprisonment. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much for having me.